I was standing under an arch of imported roses when my phone vibrated for the last time. I can't do this. No signature, no explanation, just absence. The guests murmured. The string quartet faltered. I felt the room tilt as if the floor had finally admitted it hated me. I didn't cry. I counted breaths. 1, 2, 3. Pain is loud only when you give it a microphone. Then he leaned in. My boss, the man who signed my paychecks and never raised his voice. He smelled like cedar and restraint. His whisper didn't tremble. Pretend I'm the groom. I didn't answer. He didn't wait. He took my hand, steady, deliberate, and turned us toward the aisle. The cameras flashed, confused and hungry. He smiled like a man who had already decided how this story would end. I understood something in that moment. Not romance, strategy. I had given my ex 7 years, 7 birthdays I planned, 7 promotions I celebrated for him while my own were quietly earned. We met poor and ambitious, promised each other futures like currency we could print at will. I thought loyalty was compounding interest. It wasn't. The signs were there. New cologne, late nights, the way he practiced honesty in front of mirrors and then forgot the lines. I told myself love meant patience. What it really meant was I was convenient. The morning of the wedding, I found the truth folded inside an invoice on his laptop. A shell company, her name as a beneficiary, a plan to siphon my inheritance once the marriage made it legal. He didn't just leave me at the altar, he fled before the lock engaged. Pain tried to drown me. I let it float. I had work to do. My boss, Daniel, walked me down the aisle like a ceasefire. He didn't perform, he occupied space. The room quieted. The officiant froze. Daniel spoke just loud enough to be heard. Change of plans. He canceled nothing. He postponed everything. The reception ran. The band played. I smiled until my face learned the shape of control. Daniel stayed. He didn't touch me again. He didn't explain. He watched. Later, in the car, he said, "If you want this buried, I can bury it. If you want it finished, I can help." That was the first honest offer I'd heard all day. I planned in silence. I pulled bank statements like threads from a sleeve. I hired auditors who didn't gossip. I set alerts that never slept. I learned how money confesses when you corner it. I found the retirement trust my father had set up, one I'd never needed to touch. I found the clause everyone ignored. Voting rights, dormant but intact. I transferred nothing. I signed nothing. I waited. Daniel never rushed me. He gave me access, not instructions. Office cameras, board calendars, names whispered at fundraisers. He taught me how power moves when it thinks no one's watching. By Friday, the evidence was airtight. By Sunday night, the trap was set. "You're outdated. We're done here," the CEO hissed. I replied quietly, "Understood." That was the moment the retirement trust activated its voting rights. By Monday morning, the board convened an emergency meeting. Phones buzzed, assistants whispered. Someone asked the question too late, who just fired the person who owns 76% of the shares? Not me. The numbers did. My ex tried to call. I let it ring. He sent messages that read like apologies written by a lawyer. I watched his accounts freeze in real time. I watched the shell company fold like paper in rain. Daniel sat beside me in the boardroom, expression neutral. He never looked at me when the vote passed. He looked at the table, as if respect required gravity. The confrontation was public. I wanted witnesses. My ex arrived breathless, tie crooked, face pale. He tried charm first, then rage, then fear. Each mask slid off cleanly. I said nothing until the end. "You didn't leave me," I told him. "You ran from the audit." The room understood. He didn't. Security escorted him out. The doors closed with a sound like punctuation. After, when the noise settled, Daniel finally spoke. "I won't pretend this was altruism." I smiled. I wouldn't trust you if it were. We didn't marry, we didn't kiss, we didn't turn a spectacle into a fairy tale. We signed documents, we restructured departments, we rebuilt what had been quietly broken. The photos from my wedding still circulate online. People argue about what happened. They miss the point. I wasn't saved at the altar. I was activated. Betrayal taught me where the levers were. Revenge taught me how to pull them without shaking. I don't regret the calm. I don't miss the man who tried to steal my future and tripped over my past. Sometimes power whispers, sometimes it waits, and sometimes when you say, "understood," it smiles, because it already owns the room.